it's freaking hot out here, so I'm going back inside. It's only about 100 degrees right now. So yeah, I'm done being outside. Welcome back to AZ Astro. So it's been about 2 weeks since I've done a video. That's for a couple reasons. One, I haven't been able to get StellarMate to work reliably for almost a month now. Or more specifically, I haven't been able to get Kstars and Ekos to work reliably, not necessarily StellarMate. But I haven't been able to get Ekos and Kstars to work reliably. I had bought this, which is a AWOW, basically stick PC, and I couldn't get it to work. I could plug it into my monitor, it worked just fine, but I couldn't get it to turn on while it was not plugged into a monitor. And somehow I stumbled across a fix. I actually plugged it into the monitor and I was doing updates and stuff on it. And I figured, well, what would happen if I were to just unplug the HDMI from it while it's running? So I remoted in using Google Chrome so I could still have it on one of my monitors, and I pulled it out of the HDMI slot on the one monitor while it still had power, and it kind of stuttered for a few seconds on the Google app and then started working perfectly. So I decided to take a step further and I unplugged it, let it cool down, plugged it back in, and let it start up for about 30 seconds to a minute just to make sure it was fully started up. And then I remoted back into it and it actually worked. So now, I don't know what I did to cause that to happen, but now I can actually use it headless, as they say. So I've decided to switch off the Raspberry Pi for a while until I can get Ekos and Kstars figured out. And I figured this would be the perfect opportunity to plug this into my mount and run N.I.N.A off of it, which is, I forget what the acronym stands for. It's, I'll put it up on the screen with the words, but I've drawn a blank on what it stands for. But it's a software like Sequence Generator Pro, but it's completely open source. So I'll be using that for the first time tonight, so I'm going to show you guys exactly what I do and see how it works. Alright, so it is 3 days later. I am using N.I.N.A. I had just huge amounts of problems with N.I.N.A, which all came down to my stupidity. So my main problem was I hadn't updated my ASCOM control panel, or ASCOM platform, I guess is what you call it. I hadn't updated it since ASCOM 6.0. which I went on to the Discord for N.I.N.A and put in a log, and like within 10 seconds they said, yeah, update your ASCOM. So now I have ASCOM 6.4, N.I.N.A is working perfectly. The other change I have is that little computer stick that I showed at the beginning of the video. Yeah, that didn't work. I got it hooked up and it just got way too hot because the nights here in Phoenix are, 100 degrees at 9 o'clock at night, and it only gets down to about 90 by 4 in the morning. So it's just too hot to use something that small. It just doesn't have enough cooling power, which is fine. So I've got my laptop out there, and I think I'll just go this way. So tonight, if you notice on my screen right here, this is the Lagoon Nebula. I'm using my QHY-183C, which is my color camera. And so far, I mean, it looks really, really good. It looks like it's pretty much in focus. I ran a whole focus routine, plate solved. So I'm going to do a test exposure of 5 minutes, and I'll see how it comes out. This is 180 seconds, so this is a 3-minute exposure right here. So, I mean, it looks really good. I really like this photo, and I'm hoping 5 minutes just brings in even more data. But this is what I'm going to be imaging tonight. The problem is I'm only going to have a couple hours before it is behind a tree. It just came out from behind one tree, and it will be setting behind another tree in 2 to 3 hours. So I've got a 2 to 3 hour window to get the images I want on this nebula, which is why I chose my color camera. So that's what I'm going to be doing tonight. So I will get back with you guys here when the 5-minute exposure is up, and we'll see what the picture looks like. Alright, so the picture should be done here in about 10 seconds. So this N.I.N.A software, it has to be one of my favorite ones I've ever used, even more than Ekos and Kstars. Here comes the image. Apparently it looks exactly like the 3-minute. I don't even know if it put the 5-minute on there. Huh. Well, I'm guessing I'm not going to get much more from a 5-minute exposure. Either that or it just didn't overlay the image, which, let's see. I think I might be able to look at image history. I don't know what that is. I've never used it. And it doesn't seem to have a history. Okay. I'll just stick with 3 minutes because I like this exposure. And if I get enough exposures, I should be able to pull out the nebulae, the gaseous clouds that are around the center. So this is the center of the Lagoon Nebula. I was able to get this part. My telescope is just a bit too long in focal length to get the entire nebula in the one picture. So unfortunately down here is going to be a little bit cut off, and up here is a little bit cut off, but that's okay. I'm dealing with what I can. This is the shortest focal length I have, which is 765 millimeters. So this is the best that I can fit in there. So I think I'm going to go to sequence, and I'm going to turn the sequence on. I want to do a total of, let's see, 3-minute exposures. So 10 would be a half hour, so let's do 20 exposures. Actually, you know what? Let's do 40 exposures. That should give me 2 hours of 180 seconds with light. There is no filter, binning one by one. I do want to dither in between each one, and I want to dither every 1 frame. Gain and offset's already put in there. I do want to start guiding. Well, actually, I'm already guiding, so I don't need to hit that. I do not need to slew the target because I already have it framed and focused. I don't need to center the target either because, like I said, I've already done that. So it's already ready to go, so I can just hit play. And trying to see if the camera has cooler, yet it is not enabled. Did I forget to enable my camera? Or my cooler? I did. How about that? Target temperature. Let's go to 0 degrees. So that's Celsius, so it'd be about 32 degrees Fahrenheit, which my camera has absolutely no problem reaching, even when it is like 93 degrees outside. So I think that may have been the problem with the 5-minute exposure. So I think what I'm going to do is get the camera cooled, take another 5-minute exposure, see if that one comes up. So I'll see you guys here in a minute when I'm done doing that. Alright, so it is going to pop up here in about 30 seconds. I was looking at this image, which I believe is the 3-minute image, and I just realized that that image is a 3-minute image with a sensor at 32 degrees Celsius, which is, I believe, 89 or 90 degrees Fahrenheit. That's a pretty warm sensor, and it's still a great image. So that really tells you something about the QHY 183C. It is a great little camera. So here's a 5-minute image. Yep. Wow, that actually picked up a lot of the nebula around the bottom there and around the top there. Picked up quite a bit more nebula, and with the chip sensor at 0 degrees Celsius, which is 32 Fahrenheit, I believe, there's a lot less noise. So I really like that. I think I'm going to do the 5-minute exposure. So let's go back to sequence, and I'm going to change this to 300 seconds, and I'm going to change this total. So 12 is an hour, so let's do 24 exposures for 2 hours total. And just to make sure, my sensor is being cooled. And PhD2, yes, it is guiding. And I do love, on the imaging, I put this graph right here. I have to say, this is some of the best guiding I've ever gotten. I absolutely love it. So what I'm going to do is, right here, I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to start the sequence. So now the sequence is started. It should be exposure time, is it? No, I guess I have to start it right here. Okay, that works too. And why isn't the sequence starting? Oh, enable. I have to turn that on. Dither is on. Okay, so let's hit start. All right, now the sequence has enabled. All right, so Lagoon Nebula moved behind the tree I was telling you guys about. So I'm done with that target. I did end up getting, I think, 18 pictures. So that's pretty good. So I'm not done imaging yet. As you can see, it's 12:15 a.m. here. So I'm trying out a new target, which I have wanted to try for quite some time, but I never got around to actually doing it. So I'm about to finish up a 3-minute exposure right now, and I'm hoping to see something really, really good. I've been wanting to image this nebula for a while. So here it comes. So this is the Bubble Nebula. It's not that great. I think I need to do a longer exposure. So I'm not really seeing the bubble very, very well. So I think I'll try a 5-minute exposure, and I'll get back with you guys here in just a minute. Alright, so this is a 5-minute exposure. Doesn't look like it gets much more information, but I'm sure a lot of data will fix that as well. And I can take images of this for the rest of the night. It's not going behind any trees, it's just going to get higher. So I'm going to go to sequencing, add a new sequence, and I want it on. I'm going to do 24 images to start with at 300 seconds, binning one by one, and I'm going to hit start. So now it is taking images of the Bubble Nebula. My guiding is still pretty good. So I will see you guys, and hopefully I'll have 2 really good pictures for this video. So I will see you guys when I'm done taking the pictures and getting them all processed. Alright, so 4 days later, after, 5 days actually, so 4 days of struggling with N.I.N.A, which all resulted in it ultimately being my fault, as I said, for not updating the ASCOM platform, and that completely fixed everything. So last night I did, let's see, 18, so I got 18 5-minute exposures on the Lagoon Nebula before it went back behind a tree and I couldn't image it anymore. And then after that I was able to do 24 5-minute exposures on the Bubble Nebula. And then I got my lights, I got my flats, and I got my darks, I got my flats, and my dark flats. So both images are now processed. It's what? Yeah, it's 7:40 at night here right now. But I got both images processed. And I have to say, the Bubble Nebula actually looks really good. The focus is pinpoint, which I really, really like, so my focusing has gotten a lot better. The Lagoon Nebula had two problems with that. So the first problem was I was struggling so much with N.I.N.A that when I started the imaging session, once I actually got it working, I completely forgot to do my autofocus routine. So it was the focus that was left over from the night before, which I had messed with the telescope a little bit and probably bumped the focuser. So the Lagoon Nebula is visibly out of focus, but not so much so that it looks absolutely horrible. It actually looks really, really good, and that's a target that I really, really, really want to and am going to visit with my monochrome camera, because I think I can get a much, much better image through the monochrome camera with narrowband filters. So I'm going to visit that with my monochrome camera. Speaking of that, I'm still waiting on my filter wheel. So I ordered that about 3.5 weeks ago. I've called High Point Scientific a couple times. They said that they're waiting on their supplier to bring it in. As soon as they get it, they'll ship one out to me. So it's just waiting for when they're going to get the product from QHY. So I do not have my filter wheel yet. Still working on it. Hopefully it'll be in the next couple weeks. Second thing I want to talk about was this. So I was unable to image for about 2.5 weeks because I didn't have my filter wheel. The filter wheel was broken, and and all I had was a 25 millimeter extension tube to do the back focus on the cameras. Well, I need 55 millimeters, and 25 millimeters plus 18 for the back focus was only getting, I think I could get a grand total of 46 millimeters back focus with what I had. So for 2.5 weeks, I wasn't able to focus. So I was looking on the internet, and I remember about 2 years ago when I first started imaging, I had bought a Baader variable back focus extender, whatever you call it, and it was $80. I remember buying that when I first started, and I didn't know how to use it. It's long gone by now. So I was looking at it again, and I was about to buy another Baader, and then I thought, well, $80 for an extendable tube, basically, is freaking ridiculous. So I was looking around, and I found a company, and I have used a couple of the things before, and I've had no problem with it. And the company is called Svbonny. And I bought basically the same thing. I'm able to open it. It's an extendable back focus ring. I bought 3 of them. They were going for, I believe, $24.99. So same exact thing, and you're able to go as high as it'll let you go and as low as it'll let you go. I got them for $25.99, and I bought 3 of them. So that's why I was able to actually take these images. But what really struck me as really cool was after the rings were delivered, and it only took 3 or 4 business days, I believe it was, and they came from Hong Kong. At least that's what the package said. And I had paid, I believe I paid an extra like $9.99 to have it shipped within like 4 business days or something like that. It arrived in 3. The day that I got them, I got an email from Svbonny, and it was an email of a lady. I don't remember her name. I'll put her name in the actual video. I don't remember her name though, but I'll put it in the above my head or below my head somewhere, because I do want to do a shout out for her. She got a hold of me the day that it was delivered. She said, hey, we saw that the tracking says that the package was delivered. Wanted to clarify that it was delivered. And I said, yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, it was delivered. I absolutely love them. And then I had mentioned, and I said that now I can get back to making my YouTube videos. And she sent back and she said, hey, send me a link to your YouTube videos. I'd love to check them out. So I did. And I did get a new subscriber on my channel like the next day, I believe it was. So I think that's her. If that's her, welcome. Thank you very much. You're awesome. But she also sent me a video because I didn't want to sound like an idiot. And so I asked her, exactly how do you pronounce the name of your company? Because I've heard Svbonny, I've heard Svbonny, and I've heard Svbonny, I believe it was. And the Svbonny was the one that made more sense to me. Well, she sent me a video of how to pronounce it. And it's actually pronounced Svbonny. So Svbonny. Yeah. So that's how you actually pronounce it. But I wanted to do a shout out because I thought it was really, really cool that Svbonny is able to make these little pieces. And I looked at their website. They make telescopes. They make all sorts of stuff. But I think this is just as high quality as the Baader Planetarium one for $24.99, and I thought it was really, really an awesome thing that they emailed me when it was delivered to make sure that it was delivered, to make sure that I was satisfied with the product I bought. I just thought that was really cool, so I wanted to, drop a plug for them. I'm not being sponsored or anything like that. More than welcome to if you'd like to, though. But yeah, that was really cool. So to recap, basically I'm waiting on my filter wheel to do my monochrome imaging again. I'm going to continue to image with my color camera because the 2 images I got I absolutely love. And I'll post those at the bottom. I also, during those 2 weeks, I did get a few images of the meteor, which rises in the northeast at about 4, my time at about 4 a.m. I did get some images of that. I'll post those in the video as I'm talking about it. Right now I'll overlay it so you guys can see what images I got. They're not great images at all, but I'll image those. So like and subscribe if you liked the video, and I will see you guys next time.